So, as promised to one or two viewers, I've got the Series 1 out. Now I'm grabbing just a little bit of time here, and it's going to be a very quick video because they've been chopping and chipping branches up here and you can't hear yourself think. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to describe a few things about this Series 1, and then we'll just take the camera and have a walk around it. Now, I found out from the Ministry of Defence through the Freedom of Information Act, I've got some notes here, that this chassis number 111801542, dating to military service the 4th of March 1958. It went to the sub-depot Eggington in the county of Derbyshire. It was struck off census as disposal on the 17th of October 1968. So there we are. The Army had it for 10 years. How it got to Canada, I do not know, but it ended up in London, Ontario, as you saw from the pictures like this here. The War Office registration is 05CE94. This ties into the number under the chassis, and so many years ago I had some army plates made up with that number on. So there we go, there's a little bit something authentic. Now, I said that this car only had 39,000 miles on it. Well, here's the original speedometer. I'm not lying, that's it. So what I did was I put a Series 2 one in and I stripped it and I put it back to 0 because I didn't know what doesn't have a trip meter on. But as you can see there, it's only showing 3,947 miles. Well, I don't think it's done 300,000 miles. By when we've stripped the engine down and we've stripped other components off it, there are hardly any wear on them at all. The bores were beautiful in this engine, so it's done next to nothing. So I've done 1,000 miles in this in 21 years. So there we go, that's interesting, isn't it? The other interesting fact in this, it must have been one of the last Series 1s on the production line. You see, when did I say it was? In April 1958, they came out with the Series 2 Land Rover. Not the 2A, but the 2. Well, why didn't they just wait? The thing was, the Series 2 is a little bit bigger and it's a better vehicle. But the Army wanted 600 of these making just two-wheel drive, because they thought it'd save themselves a bit of money, because they wanted these to be used on bases, not off-road, going around military bases and on good metalled road rather than going off-road. And this one, if you see at the back, it's got the little hoops on here. We'll see that in a minute. It's got some hoops on. So this must have been a military police vehicle, because that's where they put the bad lads with the handcuffs on. Should try that, shouldn't we? Anyway, I rebuilt this. I don't know. I got it 21 years ago, and it took me 7 years before I got it on the road. It was a long path. The hoop frame was finished when I bought it, so I bought a new hoop frame and canvas. I also bought a bikini top, and on my travels in England, I actually found a pickup top for it as well. Here. I do have all the door tops, not the foretops. I've got the door tops, I've got everything. I haven't got the spare wheel on because I've been tinkering around with the engine. I've got actually 2 spare wheels, so there's 6 wheels in total, and all the tyres are matching, I do believe. The other one's at another place somewhere else. The fuel tank's been lined with epoxy, because it did have a little pinhole in it, and it's been alright for the last 12 years, so nothing to worry about there. The fuel gauge works, the ammeter works, just about everything works. It's even got the original horn. There you go, eh? Frighten the life out of you, wouldn't it? That's the original Lucas klaxon. There is a few little paint chips, but like I say, it was years since I painted it. It's been 15 years, so it's done quite well. I had to repair the front dumb iron. I put another dumb iron off a Series 2 at the front, and the cross member, I replaced the cross member, but I made it into the style of a Series 1, so you can't really tell that much of a difference. It was needs must in those days, because I wasn't going to do it as a show car, you know, all polished and things like this, a brass radiator. I wanted it to be sort of usable, but within the realms of practicality, if you see what I mean. Like, how do we say? Like, I put an electric pump on, which an SU pump, but I put a pump on that's got the little electronic circuit inside rather than the old-fashioned points. That's acceptable. And I put a Weber carburettor on it at the time because we couldn't get a kit for the Solex. But looking around in the shed the other day, I found the original carburettor, so I didn't throw it out, and that could be restored. I think they're doing reproductions of them now, but I think they were about £400. Parts are expensive nowadays, so I think you can get a kit for it, a rebuild kit, for about £120. Kind of expensive, because that would be almost the price of a Weber, so you see why I did it. The other thing that's not original, which we'll have a look at in a minute, is the rear lights. Now the rear lights have been made now, the reproduction lights, but they're £150 each, and I couldn't justify, you know, 300 quid or $500 for lights to go just inside a container. It didn't make any sense. But apart from that, the door skin was pretty badly beaten up on both sides when I got it. They were really bad. The frames were excellent, but because there's no inner panel, all the boot marks were all over the place. So I made some new skins and put those on. The bulkhead's been, the footwells have been replaced. It was in a bit of bad shape. The galvanising is not being touched. I just made a mix of silver paint and grey paint, mixed it up so it looks a little bit like galvanised, just to tidy it up. I couldn't justify the cost of taking it all to bits and galvanising it to put it together. I didn't want a show car. I wanted something that could be driven, you know, without, you know, wanting to scratch it and going out with a duster every 5 minutes. It's a Series 1, it's a Land Rover. Anyway, apart from that, let's have a look round. So as you can see there, I've done 1,000 miles on that speedometer. The ammeter works, the fuel gauge works, the lights work, the wipers work. When I put this car for inspection, because it had wipers on but it didn't have washers, I had to get some sort of retro washer jets and do a little push button washer down here, and it's out of the way, it's not really a problem. Handbrake works. As I say, I'm going to put a link to some videos I've done on my site, on my YouTube channel. Now when you see this image here where the big arrow is, there's a magnifying glass. That's the search. Go onto the search and type in Series 1. There's about 30 videos on this vehicle. There you are, the original bumper. Not bad for all these years. The wheels have all been painted both outside and inside the green. The one mistake I did make when I was doing this is the chassis should be green, and I didn't realise it at the time. The chassis when military vehicles were green. Big deal. The roof folds down, so when you put your spare wheel on, your roof comes down and it's held on by the clips. Everything's all in here. You see these little brackets, they all fold down. I did put a rear view mirror in there because you couldn't see out of it, and instead of putting the mirrors on the wings, I got hold of these little motorcycle mirrors that can be taken off and put in place when you put the door on, because the ones on the wings shook like crazy and you couldn't see out of them. What else? The exhaust was new when I got it and it's still doing quite well. Good old Britpart, that's when they used to make good ones. Yeah, those rails, those hand hoops I was telling you about. It used to have a socket in the back for military for a trailer, All I had was a hole in the cover. I didn't have the rest of it, so I just welded it over and, you know, made it nice. The lights are not the originals, like I say, but they're sort of close-ish. They're trailer lights off a North American trailer, but again, I couldn't justify $500 to put lights on where it's in the container, but they do exist, so that's nice. I've got a tow ball on there, but I haven't got electrics wired up for it. I didn't bother. Those are the original mud flaps. I found those, so I bolted those on. It had to have reflectors on for getting it through inspection. There's no indicators on these vehicles at all. The plate I've got on it here is an antique plate, so it cost me like $75 for licensing it for a year. The canvas was brand new, but it got a little bit damp over the years, but it's got patina now. Oh, the reason why I've got the towing hitch on there, so when I want to lift it up and do any work on it underneath, I can lift it up from there. So let's have a look at the engine bay. Oh, I should mention the seats. These back seats, these are the originals, but I had these made in town, and it's a leatherette from snowmobiles, and believe it or not, these are 17 years old and they've not cracked. They're very, very comfortable, really, really nice. So let's have a look under the bonnet. Well, as you can see, that's the engine. We rebuilt it last year. I've just done the exhaust manifold because it was warped, and now that's fixed. I don't know why it got warped. Everything's just about as original as it can be. I didn't put the fuel filter in that it's supposed to have with the Solex. There's a fuel filter just on the entrance, the exit for the fuel pipe going to the fuel pump. But I've got it actually. I've got it somewhere. I've got a lot of bits and pieces for it. But a lot of it's original. The starter's original, the dynamo's original, the regulator box is original. Now, as for the battery, you can see I haven't got this clamped down because I just put that battery on very quickly to get it through out the container. There's the original plate. I don't know if you can see it there with the VIN number, and you can see Ministry of War. Now, this was not an RAF car. Some of them were cast off from the army to the RAF, but it was the military got all these two-wheel drives. Radiator's original. This isn't, but it's period, if you see what I mean. It looks the part. It hasn't got a heater because the heater core was rusted through, and again, I couldn't justify putting a heater in it because it's going to do nothing because it's all open. So it's been capped off, but you could actually put a heater in if you wish to get the authenticity stuff. As for wiring, I rewired it all years ago, and I took the liberty of putting a Series 3 box in here with 4 fuses, 2 spares, just so it was good for access, because I think the original one only had 2 fuses in for everything. The original chrome headlamps, they're showing a bit of patina now, but it's not too bad. It's not a bad little bus, you know. Well, like I say, last year we took this engine out, resealed it, checked the pistons out, checked the valves, everything was fine. It was just because the crankshaft seal had dried out and it was leaking. And as you can see, it's a fairly straight car. I mean, the door skins are a bit of a giveaway, but it's alright. It's alright. And there we go, that's that, and you can see, well, a minute, you can see there, that's the original beam axle for the Series 2. You can even see the serial number of the axle. Like I say, a lot of people took these out, made them into 4-wheel drive. That would be sacrilege to do. You know, you want to keep it like it is, a little living piece of history really for the Land Rovers. Yeah, oh, and that's its original MOD, well, yeah, wasn't it, Ministry of War paper, you see. So it says Car CL Utility Light 4x2 Rover. There you go. And that's when we had it last inspected, was was it 2013? 2014. So the thing is, if you leave your license to run out, if you don't pay your road tax and it runs out, then you've got to get it re-inspected, and I kept forgetting about it in the container, so we kept taking it for inspection. Of course it passed, but it's another $100 to get it inspected. This is when they used to make mud flaps out of proper material. These have got like stringing, like tyres, you know what I mean? Really good stuff. But there you go, that's it. That's about it, really. So even if you're not in the market for a Series 1, there's a nice little look around it. Alright, so I hope you like that, and we'll catch you in the next video.